From the KELOLAND Digital Desk, I'm meteorologist Scott Mundt, and this is Weather or Not. It's Wednesday, December 10th, and here's the outline. We are looking at ice. There's potential to see freezing rain starting tonight in central and north central South Dakota. That will move east and slightly to the southeast as we go through the early morning hours and even extending maybe into the early part of the afternoon. So the timing of this is late tonight to start, central, north central South Dakota. Then that spreads to the east and southeast, I'd say, as we do go through the morning hours for tomorrow. More snow is on the way. In fact, on the front edge of this, we will see the potential to see accumulating snows, a couple inches worth of that. And then the weekend's looking cold as another system moves in from the northwest. That will bring in another round of accumulating snow and much colder air. We're talking wind chills that will be in the minus 30s. That may happen for Sunday morning. Our wind in the meantime for today, this will continue to slowly die down as we go through the day into the afternoon. You see wind gusts by the afternoon still may hit the 20s in eastern KELOLAND. And then for tomorrow, extending into Friday, we'll probably see these winds pick up again. They'll become northwest. We could see some of those wind gusts around 30 miles per hour, and that will bring in around some cooler weather, colder air, where Friday could end up being one of those days where temperatures remain steady or fall, much like what we'll have for today. Here's Futurecast. There's that warm front, western South Dakota, wintry mix associated with that, and then as that moves into central KELOLAND, notice that we'll eventually see the switch over to this pink color. Really think that that's the area of ice, the freezing rain. That moves to the east during the morning hours. You see that across eastern South Dakota, eventually to Minnesota, Iowa, right before we hit midday. They'll try to go away as we go through the afternoon hours. Cloudy skies, temperatures will remain below average. And then as we get into this weekend, Friday, we'll start to see some snows return across western South Dakota, and then at Saturday, we'll see another round of accumulating snows try to set up from northwestern South Dakota into southeastern KELOLAND. Forecast for today, temperatures in the teens and 20s across eastern South Dakota. Western KELOLAND will try to warm to the lower 40s, and then for tonight, single digits and teens for many. Watch for that ice into central South Dakota late tonight toward daybreak tomorrow. And then it's during the morning that will eventually try to move to the east and southeast as we go through the morning hours. Coming up, we'll talk more about the ice for tonight with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Stay with us. You're watching Weather or Not. Welcome back to Weather or Not. The marquee here says ice potential, Brian, and you know it's something or something's going on. When we walk into the studio, I show up a little bit later than you do, and we're like, hey, did you see what's going on with the ice accumulation on the models? And we're both like, yeah. And we're both saying, that is something we should probably hit now. Now that the wind machine is calming down, It's time to talk about this ice.
It's been a full plate of stories this week, Scott. And we've got to switch gears and talk about the next one. And the icing is definitely a problem. But the question is how many folks get involved, what time of day. This is the first glance of the advisory that the Weather Service has put out. And this starts at 6 p.m. this evening in the north central and northwest. And then those headlines expand to the east as we get into tomorrow.
Right. And we'll see if that changes. If it maybe grows a little bit farther to the south, we'll continue to follow the data. National Weather Service will continue to follow the data as well as that new information comes in. But the way the models stand right now, and I put this graphic together this morning, here's the ice accumulation on the European. And it says tonight, it's late tonight. A lot of the data suggesting probably after 3 o'clock. We'll continue to watch the timing of this, as Brian said. But the orientation is covering north central South Dakota through central KELOLAND, Pierre, down to the southeast. Chamberlain, Mitchell, maybe getting close to Yankton. Sioux Falls, just to the east on the European. Okay, here's the in-house Barron run. It matches almost what the European is saying. Maybe not as high with the precipitation, the amounts coming in, but it is still lining up pretty well with what the European model was saying. The Canadian model is a little bit farther northwest still, but showing the ice accumulation, central South Dakota, Pierre, Chamberlain, and then it expands that area as you work your way to the northwest. And I believe one more here, the American model. This is the most aggressive, showing northwestern, north-central South Dakota, extending to the southeast. And let's go ahead and put all of these together. As you see, it's almost a line of best fit there is the area that's colored in, and that's the Canadian, showing that into central and northwestern South Dakota. Before we get to the next segment, let's just go ahead and stay on this topic. The graphic itself just had an automatic, it didn't have a pause point in it, so it automatically went to the next slide. But here's all of them together, just overlaying these, and I do have the ones that are colored in with the Canadian, northwestern, north central, central South Dakota. So right now, that area in the central, north central KELOLAND, Brian, I would think is really under the gun here to see the best chance for ice accumulation.
Yeah. And so with that in mind, that's how the day is going to start. But the question is, how warm is it going to get in the afternoon in some of that area? And I think it's pretty likely that Pierre will melt ice. It's going to get above freezing. In fact, at least to near 40, or at least upper 30s to near 40. Winter, it'll be interesting, too, to see how far east that 60-degree line goes. I'm just reading off of the brand-new European model, just right off the second screen here. Rapid City, 65 degrees tomorrow.
Ooh.
65. Sioux Falls, temperature by early afternoon, it's about 23.
That's a big difference. And the air is the warm air is overriding everything. So that's the reason why we get this ice.
Right. And just remember that, because we're trying to now parcel out all the different things that are going to be happening across our entire viewing area. And it's a whole spectrum. So the spectrum, essentially, the only thing you need to really pay attention to is where your point fits on that spectrum. And for some of you, this is a non-issue. Rapid City, not a big deal. There's some rain, too, on the southern flank of that. There's the snow in Sioux Falls. We gave that a little attention today, too. Snowfall accumulations. This thing could kick out a couple of inches of snow pretty easily. But the problem is, does the freezing rain and sleet come in a little faster to Sioux Falls, and then that cuts down into the snow? So you're going to have to play fractions here. A percentage of this is snow, a percentage is sleet, a percentage is freezing rain. None of it sounds very good.
No.
None of it.
No.
Well, snow I'm okay with. Freezing rain, no. No. Who likes freezing rain? I don't know anybody who does.
Well, I mean, you have to drive in it. If you have to drive in it, it's not good. It's all headaches. You're right. Yeah. You have to walk. You have to slip, fall.
Well, right.
Cause
People
problems.
Fall, and that's just, that's really, one of the biggest things. We don't want you falling on the ice, and obviously we want to give you a heads up that, if you can just avoid tomorrow, maybe you kind of think twice about traveling, and I know that for some of you don't have much of a choice, but at any rate, that's, kind of where we sit on this whole ice thing. And then temperatures on the hourlies, too, make a big difference. Today we got 40s in western South Dakota. We're not going to drop a lot in Rapid City overnight. And then isn't it interesting, we start, upper 20s in Pierre in the morning, and then Watertown's at 14. So you got this middle ground in between where that pink and purple shows up. And, Sioux Falls pushes it right on in. So I don't see any reason to discount that. I think there'll be some of it.
Oh, right. And then we'll just have to see how far to the east it makes it, how much accumulation we get out of it. I wouldn't be surprised to see things come in, 0.05 of an inch, get a coating of ice on things.
Well, and with the raw data off the European model, if you look out to Wessington Springs, it's actually producing over 1/4 inch of ice.
Yeah, I was thinking the Sioux Falls area right now would be, maybe
Sioux
around
Falls,
that.
Not too heavy.
We were looking at things this morning, and the European was one of the heavier ones, suggesting, over 1/4 inch for some with ice accumulation. Now, we'll see what happens as the latest data continues to come in, but it's something worth noting. Again, this is late tonight going into tomorrow morning. So for the morning commute for many, when we do have this freezing rain potential here. And again, it's setting up north central, central, into east central and southeastern South Dakota.
And I was just thinking about this too, Scott, that if we don't get above freezing, which we're not forecasting that,
no,
then the ice is going to cling to whatever it's going to cling to, and it's going to sit there.
Stay there. Might get banged off if the winds pick up a little.
Yeah, but the winds aren't really forecast to be too – well, there'll be some on Friday. The Arctic front will come in.
Won't be anything like we just had.
No, we're not forecasting that. Let's keep it under 70 this time.
Ooh.
I think maybe 30. I'm sure we'll be at least in the 30s, though. And then, Scott, that snow chance. I know you teased us a little earlier on the weekend.
I know, another weekend with another round of snow. And we'll talk more about that coming up in the next segment. You're watching Weather or Not. Time to talk more snow. You're not sick of it yet, are you?
Well, we need to freshen it up a little bit after the melting.
I was surprised by that, too. We talked about the strong winds that we've had, 71-mile-per-hour gust in Sioux Falls. One of my deer decorations in the back fell down, okay, and blow away. Just fell down. In the front, I have a plastic Santa. Not the plastic Santa, I have it in the ground by using a 1x4 connected to the bottom of it, and then I put 9-inch nails through the 1x4 on both sides of them. Mm-hmm. Well, what happened yesterday is we were able to do some melting, and then when the winds picked up, 4 o'clock, maybe a little, by 6 o'clock, they were a little bit stronger, and then that gust came through between 1 and 2. Santa would shake like this. And what it's doing, it's prying those nails up to where I looked out the window this morning and Santa's leaning forward.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, okay, we still have a couple hours left of some wind. So I got a brick and put it on the 1x4, and I'm sure he's fine now. But those nails, I put them down.
Save the day.
But I tell you what, there were bins, these garbage bins, and today's my garbage day too, that a lot of them in the neighborhood, if not all of them, they were tipped over.
Well, and just that, and then you think about the signs that are blown on the roads, and a lot of people.
And you talked about tree damage in Aberdeen. My stuff's minor, if it's even minor. And then you're talking tree damage and other people dealing with real property damage.
Power outages, a lot of power outages, but they were only for a shorter amount of time. I don't know if you've got my weather source up here. These were the temperatures this morning, but I had the live cam from Aberdeen, and that's decent amount of wind. You can see what happened there, though. Do you see the weak spot where the tree rotted a little bit there?
Yep, right at the very top of it.
Yep, and that's what happens. 74-mile-an-hour wind gust will take some of the trees with the weak spots, and
if it was the other one, it would have been lying across the road. Maybe it would have hit a car.
Well, right, yeah, and I know that there's some shingle damage up there in Aberdeen this morning. There's some fences. Some folks are reporting that this morning as well, blown in. So yeah, it's a big deal. Let's see what this next system brings. This is actually the one for Saturday. I know you kind of want to talk about that a little bit. And, as we reflect on snow, the topic of snow, I also think it's really impressive that we managed to lock in the vast majority of this snow from that wind. Think about that. We started the day with fluff.
And it was anywhere from 7, 10 inches, some spots more. I know Watertown was recorded at 10 inches of snow. Sioux Falls at 7 inches of snow.
Yep.
We began the day.
And then not only did we manage to go above freezing, we managed to get to 45 in Sioux Falls.
Without sunshine.
With no sun. And not just that, but also when you look at the climatology, the weather history for Sioux Falls this week of December, if you have 6 inches of snow on the ground, the warmest we had ever recorded was 39. So we blew that out of the water with that 45.
I was using the Storm Tracker app. I watched the hourly temperatures come in, and then I'm also watching the radar and go, okay, here come a couple of rain showers. And I walked the dog in that too. It was very, very light.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And okay, we were up to 38, and then it rained. I think we fell to 36. Oh, okay. And then you and I were looking before. Well, the temperature is supposed to max out when the winds come through in the evening.
Right.
And sure enough, it did. I think it was I think we were 45 around 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yep. And then it stayed in the upper 30s for a while through 8. I know it was still pretty mild. And then, then the ferocious winds came in when the temperature started to cool down. So at any rate, a lot of interesting stories with all of that. But now we're sitting with snow that's freezing back up. Now it's the density of the snow is a lot thicker. It's just a lot of weight to it. This stuff that's coming in on Saturday, and even the stuff tomorrow to some degree is a little lighter, but I would say that's a whole nother subject tomorrow because we got the freezing rain problem. This on Saturday, we're not talking about freezing rain. We're just talking light, fluffy snow. And it's going to be cold. The temperature, single digits. And a lot of times snow, when you get that temperature outside, it doesn't necessarily pile up as fast because the moisture value, we can't hold as much water in the air. But the last 2 weekends, Scott, we've been running on all cylinders. When we had an opportunity to get snow, we've maximized that.
We've been efficient snowmakers in southeastern KELOLAND.
Yeah, we've tilted on the heavier side on both of them. So jury's still out. Let's see what happens with this, but it's wise to put some snow in the forecast. And the orientation of the line goes from northwest to southeast again. Happens a lot.
Family of clippers moving through.
Yep. And I'll play this out here so we can see the progression through the day. It goes right into central Iowa again and Illinois. And, yep, it's just kind of that river of the family of clippers and everything else. High pressure center, by the way, on this map.
Look at that. Right in the middle.
Do you see how the arrows, they do this they sprawl out. And that's right in the core of your coldest air. And see, that's going to settle right over South Dakota Saturday night. And guess what that means? Sunday morning.
Coldest air of the season.
Coldest air, yep. 20 below is likely in some of our region.
Well, we have a snowpack. We'll have a fresh snowpack.
Yes. Just think of that. Now, if our Saturday forecast verifies, hey, we might get down to 25 below. I've seen that on the Canadian model, and I think the Euro, too, has suggested that. So we got to be paying attention to Sunday morning.
So we got a lot going on over the next couple of days. The mixture that we have tomorrow, freezing rain, we talked about that earlier. Then we're watching this next one come in for the weekend. As it brings in the snow, it has this cold air working in right behind it. There are the single-digit highs that you see in north central to southeastern South Dakota. It could be a day where we are stuck below zero for an air temperature in northeastern South Dakota. And some of the coldest air for overnight lows will be Sunday morning. You mentioned that, some of the models are even suggesting seeing more of those 20s below zero. But whatever wind you throw in, Brian, I've seen these wind chills come in the minus 30s on the models for Sunday morning.
Right. And it's just, no matter how you parcel this out, Sunday morning gets the prize for the coldest air of the season so far. And the raw temperature, I see the raw minimum now for Sioux Falls is 26 below on the European. 26 below. So we'll see. You got to maximize everything to get to 26 below.
Well, we have the core of the high moving through. We have fresh snowpack. We'll need to clear out. There's a lot of things we still need to do yet.
Yep. But if it all comes together, and if we're not quite that cold, nobody will complain, for one thing. And number two, it's probably because of some wind or something else that gets into it, and then it'll just feel colder if there's even a slight breeze when it's 10 below or 15 below.
So watch those wind chills as we do get into this coming weekend. Even starting on Friday, I think I saw wind chill values in the minus teens starting on Friday, and then just continues to go down as we go through the weekend. Quickly, Brian, I do want to go through some of the models here for snowfall amounts. Now, these are early indications. Don't get glued to some of these numbers, but we will run through a couple of these models. This is the European model. You see a good band of 2 to 4 inches from northwestern South Dakota into southeastern KELOLAND. Also brings in that band of some higher amounts of saying 4 to 6. So the American model is more or less agreeing with that. As you see in a couple of areas at 2 to 4, but we also have some heavier bands of 4 to 6 trying to come in. So we'll continue to follow that as the days do get closer. But that was a snow total for both whatever we get Thursday and you add whatever we get on Saturday. So that's a snow total out of 2 events that will move through. And then our extended outlook, you see the snowfall we have through this weekend. The European doesn't want to add too much to it. As we do take a look at the American model, of course, we'll have our total snows through the first half of the weekend. And then after that, it's trying to point to something maybe Christmas Eve we may fill in across southeastern KELOLAND. So we'll continue to watch and see what happens with any new snows that are in our future. We'll talk more about this cold weekend coming up. You're watching Weather or Not. Cold weekend. I don't have any sound effects for cold. What would I use? I don't even know. Burr?
Yeah. Just thinking about cold weekends, though, it's probably the coldest air since last February.
Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday, February. I'll have to go back and take a look at some of those numbers.
So, we're due for some more of that. But also in this segment, it'd be nice to talk about next week being warmer.
Yeah, we will. Especially after talking about the possibility for ice accumulation, it would be nice to bring in some temperatures above freezing to get rid of that, though it may take its time to get to that level. This is just a snapshot of some of the air that will be here for this weekend. So below zero highs, and you showed a map earlier for northeastern KELOLAND with temperatures in the single digits below zero. We mentioned throwing in the wind chills in the minus teens, minus 20s, minus 30s at times. We really think Sunday morning we could see those wind chills in the minus 30s. And the warmest highs, now again, this is an average on those three model runs for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The warmest, or should I say warmer day of the two for Sioux Falls is coming in at around, we'll just say around 10 degrees. But watch that wind chill. Now, this is a graphic that goes through the wind chill for Saturday into Sunday morning. And you do notice how we do fall to the minus 30s here as we hit the late evening hours on Saturday. That continues during the overnight. Here's the actual air temperature on the model into the single digits, eventually falling to the teens below zero. By Sunday morning in Sioux Falls, we're at minus 27. There was other data that was pointing to some of these wind chill values into the minus 30s into southwestern Minnesota. We'll try to flip the script as we do get into the following weekend, bring in some warmer temperatures, and those models are suggesting numbers near 40 degrees, Brian.
And then we melt snow.
And then we'll melt next week. Yeah, we'll try to do that as we get into next week. That's all the time we have for this latest edition of Weather or Not. Thank you for joining us.